Hello, my name is Nguyen, and this is my DSARI home partial energy audit. I live in a house that's located in Anoka, Minnesota, and it currently holds 3 residents, including myself and my parents. The house is about 1,000 square feet in size. Some things to note are that we have no EVs or solar panels. The monthly average energy consumption of this house is about 568.87 kilowatt hours. That's an average out of the past 15 months of energy bills that were collected from my dad. Compared to the local area of Anoka County, we use more energy than average, and compared to Minnesota residents, we use a lot less, which is interesting. Here is a breakdown of the end use of energy broken down by device type. Noted here is that over 50% of this energy pie is dedicated just to heating and cooling, which I thought was very interesting. So for constant power devices, I'll be using an alarm clock, Nintendo Switch game console, and a light bulb. And for variable power, I'll be using an internet router, chest freezer, laptop charger. And for variable cycle power, I'll be using an electric kettle and a Keurig coffee maker. So a lot of the time for each of these devices, I'll be using a separate stopwatch located by the device. And I am the only person that uses these devices, so I'll be locking them by myself and recording them on my phone. And for the variable cycle devices, I'll be using a sticky note and a pen. And because these devices in particular are used by more than one person, I've asked everyone who uses them to write down the date and time of when it is used. And for the devices that are on all the time, they were not manually logged. Here's the time and daily log. And here's the energy calculation table. But first, let's talk about the calculations. So for the constant power, I'll be looking at the alarm clock as an example. So these calculations here describe how long on average the device is on or off throughout the day. And this third line here describes how much energy the device uses on average in terms of watt hours per day. And dividing this value by 1,000 gives us kilowatt hours per day. Multiplying that value by 30 gives us kilowatt hours per month. The light bulb is very similar to a constant energy device because it is itself a constant energy device, constant power device. And throughout this audit, it was used for 7.6 hours. And that equates to around an hour a day. And jumping down to this third line, that means that throughout the entire day, on average, it uses about 8.72 watts a day in energy. And dividing this into 1,000 gives us kilowatt hours per day. And multiplying this by 30 gives us kilowatt hours per month. For the variable power calculation, average wattage or average power is not immediately obvious, so we had to calculate it using an extended observation time. So for the internet router, over the course of 63 hours and 20 minutes, it consumed 1.075 kilowatt hours of energy. Converting this into watts, we get about 17 watts. And then because it is used throughout the entire day, this internet router consumes about 407 watts of energy per day. And converting this into kilowatt hours, just divide by 1,000. And converting this into months, multiply by 30. And for the variable cycle power devices, the primary difference is that instead of measuring it by hours per day, we measure it by cycles per day, or uses per day. And for an electric kettle, it experienced 8 cycles over the course of 7 days, and it equates to a little more than a cycle or a use per day. And multiplying the cycles per day times the energy per use, or energy per cycle, we get energy per day. And energy per day multiplied by 30 gives us energy per month. And here is the table once again. Here are the totals for energy per month and energy per day. So looking at the data, I noticed that the highest energy users of this partial audit are the chest freezer, the internet router, and the kettle. And I was surprised to learn that the alarm clock uses more energy than the Keurig. Compared to the average or expected energy use, the actual devices ended up using less energy than expected, except for the electric kettle. Now, compared to the whole house, this audit covered about 7% of the average home energy usage of this entire house, and an even smaller percentage of the average energy use of a home in Minnesota. In terms of saving energy moving into the future, the chest freezer can be moved from inside or outside of the garage depending on the time of year, because during the summer, if it's hotter, then the freezer would have to work harder. But if it's winter, then the freezer doesn't have to work as hard, and in fact, it probably has to work a lot less than like during the spring or during the fall because it is naturally colder outside. And this change would lead to likely a 2 kilowatt per month saving, or reducing the total energy used by 0.36%. And to save energy using the electric kettle, simply just using less water per use, or using only the necessary amount of water when heating, will directly reduce the amount of energy used by the kettle to heat up water and reduces wasted water or wasted heat. And this change could save almost 4 kilowatt hours a month by itself, or reduce energy usage by 0.69% of the entire house. And saving energy with a laptop charger, simply just using it less often or limiting it to a specific time frame during the night or whenever time of day that the laptop is being charged, will eliminate excess energy use, such as the laptop being fully charged but still drawing power from the wall, wasting energy in that way. So being aware and cognizant of this specific waste energy could save 0.15 kilowatt hours per month, or reduce the energy usage of the entire house by 0.03%. And here are my references, and that's my audit. Thank you.